This excerpt from the public television program, The Piano Guy, is brought to you by NAMM, the International Music Products Association.
I left my heart in San Francisco.
I'm really excited to work through this tune with you today. It's I Left My Heart in San Francisco. Great tune, great standard, used all the time, great one to get underhand. And with me to work through it today is my good friend, Dave Powers. Hi, Dave.
Hi, Scott.
How are you?
I'm great, and yourself?
Doing well, thank you.
Wonderful.
Hey, I am really excited about doing this tune with you in particular because I'm going to have you sing it if you're okay with doing that. Yeah, that's right.
Sure, no problem.
That's right. The reason I want to do that, obviously, Tony Bennett was, had the giant hit on this. And
it's huge.
And I mentioned we talk about the difference between playing solo style and accompaniment style. And in my mind, there was not a better accompanist on the planet, still is, than Ralph Sharon, who was Tony Bennett's longtime accompanist.
Fantastic player.
Actually, we did some research and found out that he's who brought this tune to Tony. That Ralph Sharon,
Is that right?
Yeah, brought the tune San Francisco to Tony to do it, and it ended up being his real signature tune. So, having said that, there's a couple, and it's kind of rare, I think, in accompanist world to have a kind of a signature lick, yet this one has it, So we want to work through that. We want to give those away and just kind of hammer through the tune a little bit and discuss the difference between solo style playing or accompanying yourself singing. So having said that, why don't we just play the first couple measures just so everybody kind of gets where we are.
Ooh.
Doing it in a different key, right? Yeah. Okay, so there's the tune.
It's a little blip
I left
of it, right. Yeah.
Of course, we can't say it without the old joke, I left my harp in San Francisco, right? That's the ba-dum-bum.
Ba-dum-bum.
It's an old musician joke. Having said that, how do you approach, when you just start out, because I know you sing a lot when you work gigs, explain to me the difference in the way you break down playing solo style playing versus, I'm singing on this one, I'm going to do something different. Kind of explain that if you would.
Well, some piano players that sing, basically you'll just play chords while they sing.
Right.
I'm a little different that way because I listen to a lot of music.
You're a little different in a lot of ways.
Well, I am. I'm very different. But I listen to a lot of different types of music, and I like to hear extra little nuances that people expect to hear.
Okay.
I mean, when San Francisco is played, when it's played by many groups, everyone expects to hear that signature lick, as you say.
Okay.
The great comedian Pete Beauty does a great comedy routine with this, and he has this trumpet that's all wrapped up in duct tape, and he brings it out, and he starts playing, starts playing the melody, and the whole band sings da 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 da. That's great. Because they expect to hear that tune.
That's great. Let's go ahead and give that away, actually, while we're talking about that. Let's just visually give away that lick. So.
I'm going to play it in this register, but it's played an octave up normally.
Okay.
And if I'm not exact, I'm pretty darn close.
That's okay.
And I don't know if they ripped that off from Ray Conniff. When Ray Conniff did It's Not For Me To Say for Johnny Mathis, It's Not For Me To Say started out going... Back in 1957.
Interesting.
When San Francisco came out in 62.
Well, there you go. Okay, so let's give that away.
Starts out on
C.
I'm in the key of C.
Right.
So...
Simple, so just marches up a C chord. Okay.
Yeah. And actually, that melody, I'm going to throw something out that's so obscure, but not that obscure. From the late 20s, there was a song, The Wedding of the Painted Doll. And the melody was, it's a holiday, today's the wedding of the painted doll.
Really?
But it's the same...
Okay.
It's one of my favorite songs.
You're right, that's an obscure one.
Such a nerd.
Now, the second part of that, because then I left my heart, in San Francisco.
The second chord, in the San Francisco, that's a D chord. So he's playing a descending chord. If he was going to play this and go, kind of like that, the melody would be.
Okay.
And if you want to be a little more expressive, you can glide those notes, just like slide down. So like,
nice.
Give it a little more expression.
So the first one again starts on a C. Okay. And now the second one starts on the D.
D minor.
There we go. I think that's going to be a great thing for our viewers to just get underhand, because boy, everyone can relate to that when they play this tune.
Sure.
So where it falls then in the tune is you'd be singing, I left my heart.
So, I left my heart in San Francisco.
Okay. Okay. All right.
High on a hill.
Great.
Right.
Okay. That's, yeah. You got to feel like you've done a pretty good job as an accompanist when you have a signature lick and it's just the accompaniment.
True. Yeah, yeah.
Ralph Sharon's got to be thinking, yes.
Well, yeah. Well, when you're also, if you're a piano player that sings and you're singing, you want to fill in those extra gaps in your song. If you were in a band playing and you had a sax player,
Right.
and a vocalist would sing, and when there was a little gap, the sax player always filled in those little extra measures with some fluff or whatever he wants to do. Same thing to being a really good accompanist. Accompanying yourself, you've got 10 fingers to do whatever you want. You're already singing the melody, and you've got your accompaniment going. So you can sing the song, you know, I left my heart, whatever, in San Francisco.
So it's space.
And you've got all of that space to use for...
Well, that's clearing things up then a little bit. I mean, maybe another way to rephrase what you just mentioned is you basically need, while the melody's going on, whether you're singing it or playing it, you're just playing chords underneath it.
Right.
The minute the melody stops and there's a gap, you then need to fill in some of that space with something melodic.
Right.
As an accompaniment.
And you'll notice that if you listen to, the recordings that you listen to.
Well, this is the perfect one. Yeah, you know, hear Tony Bennett singing, I left my heart, and then there's space, and Ralph Sharon's playing, and in San Francisco, more accompaniment. Okay, well, this is a great example to do that on this one. Let's move on through the tune a little bit. And just kind of push forward a little bit and work through any other things that might be traps for anybody that's working through this tune.
Being that it's a ballad, you can add a little rhythm to the song by maybe playing in the left hand, the note and then a chord, like 3, 4, 1, 2.
So that's kind of a real easy stride bass almost. So you're reaching
like
down,
slow
playing a single root,
Yeah.
and then going up an octave to play the chord, which is something I could probably handle on a ballad, but I'd never be able to do it on a really fast tune. But that's great. That's a good call for a slow tune, so the target practice isn't quite so tough.
Yeah, you just practice slow. Take it slow, take the note. Maybe if you want to play a little octave, and then chord, play an octave, play the octave. And what I would do, how I started doing the stride stuff, when I was younger and really understanding stride, but getting from point A to point B, sometimes I would see, like, here's the root. Let's say I'm in the key of C. Here's the fifth.
Right.
So maybe I would go down, and I would descend from the fifth to the root, but in a way that helps my hands find that next,
get in the right spot.
To get in the right spot. Because if I just did this, but if I went,
it gives you a little bit more something to hang your hat on that way.
Yeah.
Well, and also, sound-wise, it's kind of, you're hearing like a bass player going boo-doo.
Right.
Boo-doo.
Because he's filling in spots there.
Yeah, doing it that way. Let's go to the bridge of this tune. There's another little accompaniment lick I want to give away. Ba-da-da-da-da-da-da.
Little cable cars.
And then usually in that gap you imitate.
Usually they
Let's give that one
echo
away.
an answer.
Yeah.
So to beware little cable cars.
Okay. So
Sounds pretty.
Just like a call and response.
Yeah, and it's not, you don't have to play that verbatim.
Right.
You want to fill in the gaps with something. So I would encourage people to be a little more creative in that part.
Okay.
But if you want to, here's a good way of just getting around it. Do beware little cable cars.
Okay.
Climb halfway to the stars.
Gonna answer it? Okay.
The morning fog. A little filler.
Sure.
May chill.
You know, as I see you do that, maybe an easy thing we could tell our viewers is that whenever you need to fill something, you're always safe sticking to whatever the chord tones are, right? I mean, whatever chord you're playing in your left hand, you could always just open it up and play chord tones in some pattern with your right hand up. And you want to do it up higher to give it usually a little,
Right.
you know.
So if you're playing it and not singing it.
Right. So the point is, like, what chord are you on here? Any of those
Spelling
chord,
out this, yeah, this is E minor.
Yeah, so any of those chord
Right.
tones would work out up high as you're doing that.
Exactly.
Oh, that's probably a...
So here's an A minor. And you can go
Yeah. I mean, you're safe doing that. It's
spelling
kinda,
out the chord, right.
well, that's probably a pretty good mental thing to hang your hat on then, to not panic and think, oh, I've got to be so creative and come up with all these beautiful melodic lines. And you really don't. You know, at a beginning level, if you want to take that first step off the cliff that way, just go up and make sure you're sticking to chord tones. And ba-do-ba-do-ba, you know, whatever you're doing,
Right, you
somehow
can
just spell
embellish
them
on
out
that.
and
Sure.
do that. That's a good call.
Indeed.
Now, when you work through a tune, this next thing I'm going to talk about is arranging, I guess, if you're working through one. When you're singing, do you normally like sing a chorus, then play a chorus, and sing a chorus? Or I mean, any thoughts on how you approach that?
Well, melody is very important to me in a song, and when I'm making my point
Yeah.
vocally,
Right.
getting the words, because people like to hear the words. The words are very important. I will play the whole song all the way through,
Okay.
and then put a little instrumental chorus in, and maybe in a song like San Francisco, I won't start at the beginning again.
Okay.
I might start at the halfway point.
And work your way up.
Yeah, the My Love Waits there in San Francisco. It's right after the little
Okay.
cable cars part.
So give yourself just a little section to do some instrumental work, and then come
Right.
back in and wrap up the tune vocally.
Because I think there's a mistake that some performers make, is they want to go back to the beginning of the song again, and
You do the whole thing through
well,
again.
I think people get bored after a while. When you hear a pop song on the radio, and most of these songs, the point is already made within 3 minutes.
Okay.
Maximum.
Point well taken. All right.
Even when it comes to ballad, unless you're playing an improv with a combo,
Yeah.
and everyone wants to take a chorus.
Yeah, well, if everybody's
of
soloing,
San
that's a different
Francisco.
story, but that's not
sure.
the-
That's a different
Okay.
story. But if you're performing as a solo act, you know, I'll play an instrumental part halfway through the song.
Well, let's...
So in essence, the whole song will be performed twice through.
Okay. All right. This is Dave Powers playing I Left My Heart in San Francisco.
The loveliness of Paris seems so sadly gay. The glory that was Rome was of another day. I've been terribly alone and forgotten in Manhattan. I'm coming home to my city by the bay. I left my heart in San Francisco. High on a hill, it calls to me to be where little cable cars climb halfway to the stars. The morning fog may chill the air. I don't care, my love waits there in San Francisco, above the blue and windy sea. When I come home to you, San Francisco, your golden sun will shine for me.
Outstanding. That's a great version, Dave. I sure appreciate you helping us with that.
My pleasure, Scott.
All
Thank
right.
you.
This excerpt from the public television program, The Piano Guy, has been brought to you by NAMM, who reminds you that playing a musical instrument is a fun, interactive hobby that benefits your mind, body, and spirit. It's never too early or too late to start. Want to play?